The Kelak trilogy continues. Today we are taking a look at Extreme. You'll notice that the team is a little different from the normal strategy. We are not running Gustav, we are running Elatte for all of her crit damage capabilities, and the Grace on Deri is no longer Sariel, it is Margaret. We'll talk about that in just a second. Taking a look at Deri's gear, we are running attack crit damage, since on Extreme the boss can finally tank a couple swipes from Deri. The split that I'm running again is going to be a 5-5 between attack and crit damage. However, 4-6 is a little better. Now, if you are willing to milk out as much damage as possible, make sure you are running all of her crit damage gloves, the highest assortment. And if you still have problems critting and you're willing to sacrifice a couple points here and there, then throwing on her crit chance, which I think is these two. If you have either her cooking gloves or her final boss outfit, they do have a little more crit chance, but that is not going to be as optimal as crit damage. Now, Margaret's link is going to add 5% in attack to Deri for each buff or stance on the enemy. Now, Kelak is capable of getting 4 resistance buffs, so that is going to be a total of 20% additional attack for Deri. That is going to beat Sariel's Grace of, I believe, 30% crit. He ignores that in defense. Make sure your weapons are maxed out for her, and then she's also, whoops, 6-6 is also nice. But she is going to be on an attack crit set. Attack, yeah, defense is going to be better, but my crit is already UR'd, so I'm just going to leave that. Gother is going to be the exact same setup for normal. He is running a common top row this time. All of his weapons are off again, and we do want to milk as much as we can from his holy relic. If you aren't familiar with that, it is going to be 1% increase in all basic stats per rank up we use, which is why it's important to also have him on the right. Deri most important on the right, but him next to her so that the rank ups don't merge. We want to use as many as possible. Elatte I have on a triple defense set, since this is the set that I was running with her on Akumu. If you have HP defense, that is going to be better, but I am just going to leave this here with a common top row. No weapons equipped. And then her link is also just the highest HP link that you can do. And then obviously you want the Fate link on Gother. Helbram is a little different. Helbram, I am running a borrowed UR top row. I don't have UR gear for him at all. But the main point is that he does need the extra damage that comes from having a fully rolled top row. I did leave his weapons off because his weapons we don't necessarily need. But his poison does need to hit, and on phase 2, if you aren't, I think maybe 12k might be correct. He doesn't deal too much damage still, but Kelak will resistance his poison, and we do need the poison to land, because for Kelak, the only way to get the additional resistance buffs is when he applies it. He's also going to wipe the amount of debuffs that are applied to him and then add a buff for that. So we will have Gother poison, Elatte's debuff, and pumpkin bombs. That's 3 debuffs. He's going to wipe those, add 3 resistance buffs plus 1. So that's how we get the 4 total on phase 2. And then we have a Tarmiel link for him, obviously, because he's going to take a lot of damage. He's a squishiest. He's going to get some health. I did leave Tarmiel's weapons on just to get to this 12k attack, and then obviously attack food will top that off. The exact same card set as before. That is the setup, so let's take a look at the run. Alright, jumping into turn 1 here. We don't necessarily need to start stacking Deri quite yet. So we are just going to drop all the other attacks that we have. Make sure that when you use Elatte's debuff that you use that last, as that is going to increase the amount of damage everything else will do. And we kind of want to hold out on phase 1 for as long as possible, just so that we can get as many Deri, Elatte, and Gother stacks as possible. Phase 2 is a little time sensitive. We did draw an additional rank up and 2 Elatte cards, so that's good. We're probably going to go ahead and do a double rank up here. We're already holding all the cards that we want gold by the time we finish. So we're going to do a self rank up so that we get the silver, and that he will rank up everybody instead of me just individually ranking 1 or 2 people up. Obviously, don't do that. That it is going to add 2 stacks to the Gotha relic. We got an additional Elatte card. Make sure that you can use these as much as possible, as stacking her passive up to 10 is going to greatly increase our crit damage capabilities, and that is something our Deri is going to have to live for. Now, if we do draw, which we did, and we used it last, make sure that the buff for Helbram comes last. Similar to the Elatte debuff, we don't need anything dealing extra damage. We already know that we're just going to rank up the silvers to gold, so I'm not worried about merging into a Helbram rank 3, especially because it's just a fast road to getting his ult and having a kind of a clunky hand. Now we do get 2 more Elatte cards, though. Unfortunately, she starts to deal a lot of damage with her stacks, and we don't get that second card. We don't get that card stack. Now here, a lot of you transitioning, you'll either get Elatte's ult now or maybe a turn later. Keep in mind, however, or keep in mind that her ultimate only lasts 4 turns, and Kelak does his buffing 4 turns into phase 2. So if you ult like I did the turn that you transition, you're going to need to you're going to need to get her ultimate again. And if that's something that that's not something that I would rely on, so make sure that you use it either a turn later, maybe 2 turns if you can. But once you start getting into the second and third turn of phase 2, you want to try to go through pumpkin bombs and a bronze Elatte debuff. Like I said in the setup portion of the video, we do need the debuffs to be on Kelak when he does his buffing. Now, a Helbram poison is going to last 3 turns, which is why we can do it a couple turns sooner, but Elatte's debuff and Gother's debuff only lasts 1 turn, so that does need to be done on the turn that he is buffing. The rest of this is just going to be pretty self-explanatory, maintaining Deri buffs and then kind of just dumping everything else we get. The only time it's going to get tricky is if you used Elatte's ults a little soon. So here, Kelak is going to be buffing, so I know we need to get Elatte's ult back since this is the turn that it's going to wear off. Unfortunately, we also did not get an extra Elatte debuff or go through pumpkin bomb, so we are only going to get 2 resistance buffs, and that isn't going to hit as hard as we would like it to. And critting through the resistance buffs sometimes I feel like is impossible as well, so that is what makes this a little harder than the Sariel strat, since Sariel is going to ignore the crit defense, but this is going to net us more points. So we have 2 additional rank ups here. It looks like I can also stall a couple more turns, maybe 2 more turns, just because I have the extra Deri buff. And I don't think Elatte is at 10 yet. We do want to at least get her to 10 if we can. I think getting Deri actually to 10 is a little more important. I believe she's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's only at 8, so yeah, if we stall another turn here, which we have to obviously because we don't have Elatte ultimate active, we are going to do that just in time for him to use his ult, so we'll be able to tank that. Looks like Elatte is at 7, Gotha Relic is at 3, so we probably can just chuck off this extra rank up here. I know there's not really going to rank anything up, but we're going to do it for the Gotha Relic stack. Elatte is still even managed to crit through the resistance buffs. What an impressive goddess, whatever the hell she is. So we are probably going to have to look to end here on the next turn if I don't get another Deri buff. Oh, we did get another Deri buff. So we can actually stall another turn. I think with Elatte's ult in that previous attack, that puts her at 9. And we did get a 10th attack here. So we can stall 1 more turn to get her to 10. And then Deri's going to be at like 11 at this point. We did also get an extra rank up. So that was a good turn. A good extra hand here to have. And I think I took a long time just because I was really, Really didn't want to mess this up. This was probably pretty early on in the recording. But hopefully I make some moves. Doing a lot of thinking. We finally get those down. Didn't use the pumpkin bombs. I think in hindsight, I'm not sure why I did not use them. Those would have been an extra buff. I probably was afraid of it doing too much damage, but it definitely won't deal a lot. But this is the turn 2, and we can't stall any longer as Deri's attack is going to kill. So we are going to drop down our buffs. Double check everybody real quick. Elatte is going to be at 10 here. Gother is at 5, and then Deri is fully stacked up. We'll have a moment of silence and see what this crits for. We are on turn 11. Beautiful. So close to 20 mil. I think if maybe I had the extra resistance buffs, it would have been 20 mil. But it does look like a 19 mil gets about 8.2, so that's very good. During push rig, you're definitely going to want to go for as much as possible. Maybe you'll get all 4 resistance stacks on Kelak. Maybe you'll have a fully stacked Gother relic, and you'll be able to hit some insane crit for 23 million or more and hit a juicy 9k score. But that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe if you like my content. Until next time.